Hi, friends. This is the math lesson for second grade. This is Unit 4, Lesson 14, Part 2. Today, we are going to learn about rounding. Now, please make sure that you watch the Brain Pop video on rounding. It really helps explain what rounding is all about. If you haven't done that already, please go watch that now and then come back to this video. We are going to complete page 195 and 196 today. Before we start, this little blue box kind of gives you a rundown on the steps that you're going to follow for rounding. So we are going to be rounding to the nearest 10. Basically, rounding helps you estimate, okay? It helps you if you don't want to add up numbers like 32 plus 55. It helps you figure out what is close to those numbers. It helps you add them easier and faster. So we're going to do a little bit of practicing that today. Before we get started, let's take a look at this blue box, okay? Take a minute and read it to yourself. Okay, friends, so step 1, it wants you to underline the tens place. And I do encourage you to do this at least for the first couple until you get used to it. But eventually, you might be able to just see how you need to round, okay? So you're going to underline the tens place because that's the one that we are going to be rounding to. Then, what you're going to do is you're going to write the 10 that is above 32. So think of a hundreds chart. If you have your hundreds chart handy that I sent home in the distribution, you can grab that. Here's mine. And so here's 32. So I would go forward and write the 10 that's above 32, which would be 40. And then I would go backwards and write the first 10 that I get to, which is 30. So that's basically what it is saying right here. And you can see the example right here. So they underlined 30. They wrote the 3, sorry. They wrote 30 and they wrote 40. They'd like you to make a drawing to show each number. Now, I personally think that drawing the 30 and the 40 is kind of a waste of time. I do think that just drawing 32 can be helpful. So if you draw 32, here is where the rounding comes in. If there are 5 or more ones, you are going to choose the number above. If there are less than 5 ones, you're going to choose the number below. Okay, so this kind of goes through. We see that those 2 ones are less than 5, so it goes down to 30. Now, if it sounds confusing to you, no problem. Let's go ahead and see how we do practicing. So we're going to go through all the steps. We're first going to underline the tens. If you want to underline the tens in all of these problems, that is totally fine. Then we are going to write the 10 above and the 10 below. So the next 10, if I have 13, there's 13. The next 10, if I go forward, is 20. And the 10 behind that is 10. So I'm going to write, and you can't write too big. I'm going to write 20, and I'm going to write 10. Okay, so 13's in between those. Now let's go ahead and draw our number. So like we're just going to draw the 13. We're not going to worry about the 10 and the 20. So there's the 10 stick and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So here is where the question lies. How many ones are there? There are 3. So if there's less than 5, we're going to round down. I guess maybe we should switch these This always kind of confuses me. So let's switch that to 20 and 10 rather. So we want to round down. So our answer is 10. If you feel like you want to try these problems on your own, feel free to continue and stop when you get to to number 22 and check your answers with mine. All right, 18 is the number 18. So if I look on my hundreds chart to figure out my next tens, here's 18. My next one is 20. And my lower one is, again, 10. So I have 20 on the top and 10 underneath. I'm going to draw the number 18. Now, if I have less than 5, I'm going to go down to 10. If I have more than 5, I'm going to go up to 20. So I have 8, which tells me I'm going to round up to 20. Again, at any point, if you feel like you want to try the rest of these on your own, please feel free. All right, 22. So I need to see what tens are next. So here's 22. If I go forward, I get to 30. If I go backwards, I get to 20. So I have a 20 down here and a 30. And I'm going to draw 22. And I see that I have 2 1s. And I know that if there are 5 or less than 5, excuse me, then I'm going to round down. So I get an answer of 20. All right, moving on to number 20. We have the number 44. So for 44, if I go forward, I get to 50. If I go backwards, I get to 40. So 50 and 40. I'm going to draw 44. And again, 5 less than 5 ones, which is what we have, makes me round down to 40. I would like you to try number 21 on your own. Please pause the video. All right, friends, let's see how you did. So 36, I know that if I go forward, I have 40, and if I go backwards, I have 30. Those are my 2 10s. So I'm going to write both of those. I'm going to draw 36. And I know that if I have 5 or more ones, I will round up to 40. Now, number 22, this can be a tricky one because it's not closer to one of those numbers because it's right smack in the middle. So there is a rule if you have 5 ones. So let's start by finding our 10. So here's 55. If I go up, I'm closer to 60. And if I go down, I'm closer to 50. So let's write that. And I'm going to draw 55, which in this case doesn't necessarily help us. I already know there's 5 ones, but that's okay to draw it anyway. And I'm going to go back up here to step 4. It says, if there are 5 or more ones, round up. So I know I have exactly 5 ones, which means I'm going to round up to 60. So there you have it, my friends, a little bit of rounding. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Turn the page. So now it wants you to take your rounding and put it to use. So we are going to round our numbers to the nearest 10. Then we're going to add or subtract the numbers and circle the answer that is the best estimate. There are quite a few steps here, so please make sure you follow along with me. Okay, so I'm going to underline my tens in each of my problems. Okay, let's start by doing that. Okay. Then over here on the top of your paper, I want you to write this. I want you to write 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I want you to put an up arrow. And then I want you to write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want you to put a down arrow. That is going to tell us what to do with these ones down. All right, so 21. If you need to have your hundreds chart handy, it'll help you figure out what tens to use. So if I have the number 21, I can see that my bottom number is 20 and my higher number is 30. So with just a 1, I'm going to go with my bottom number. I'm going to draw a little arrow. And I'm going to put a 20 right here. Okay. Now I need to round 18. If I look at 18, I know my top number is 20. My bottom number is 10. And I know that there are 8 ones. So that tells me I'm going to round up. So this one's also going to be 20. Now I can add them together. And I get an answer of 40. All right, before we keep going, I want you to draw little arrows on all of these because we're going to be rounding all of these. And I would like you to stick with me. I'm going to have you try one of each problem on your own, but I think everyone needs to stick with me and just keep practicing, making sure you're following all the steps. Okay, number 24. Number 24, we have the number 42. So for 42, it's right here on my hundreds chart. If I go forward, that's 50. If I go backwards, that's 40. So a 2, I'm going backwards, I'm going down. So I have 40 right here. And 23 is right here. If I go forwards, that's 30. If I go backwards, that's 20. So a 3 means I'm going backwards or going down. So that is a 20. I can add these two numbers together and get 60. And there is my answer right there. All right, I want you to carefully try number 5 and see, or 25, excuse me, and see what you get. All right, how'd you guys do? So 67, that is going to round up to 70, and 12 is going to round down to 10, and 70 plus 10 is 80. All right, so this is all adding. Now we're going to subtract. So same steps until you get to the very end. So 44, we have, if I go up, that's 50. If I go down, that's 40. So 44 goes down. So I need that 40. And I'm going to minus my rounding for 22. So 22, if I go up, that's 30. If I go down, that's 20. A 2 rounds down. So I'm going to write a 20 right here. And 40 take away 20 is 20. All right, number 27. We have the number 38. So 38's right here. If I go up, that's 40. If I go down, that's 30. So an 8 always goes up. So I'm going to write 40 right here. And then I have 17. So here's 17. If I go up, it goes to 20. And if I go down, it goes to 10. A 7 always goes up, so that's going to be a 20. When I do 40 take away 20, I get 20. Right there. All right, last problem like this. Go ahead and try number 28 on your own and see how you do. All right, so 51 rounds down to 50 and 38 rounds up to 40. And when you subtract, you get an answer of 10. All right, friends, I promise if rounding is still seeming a little tough for you, it will get easier the more that you practice, okay? Let's now move on to, we have 2 word problems to solve. This is when you will use rounding. So don't be intimidated. It's just a normal word problem, but we're going to use rounding to solve. So it says, Jory has 3 large aquariums. These hold 28 fish, 44 fish, and 13 fish. Round each number to the nearest 10. Then answer, about how many fish does Jory have? That is what rounding means, about. So I know that we're going to be adding all 3 of these fish in the fish tank, right? So I'm going to write out my problem like this. So go ahead and do that now. And now I'm going to round. So 28. 28 is right here. If I go up, it's 30. And if I go down, it's 20. So I know an 8 always goes up to 30. Then I have 44. So 44 is right here. If I go up, that's all the way to 50. And if I go down, that's back to 40. A 4 always goes down, looking back up here at my chart. So that gives me 40. And the number 13. So here is 13. If I go up, I get to 20. And if I go down, I get to 10. A 3 rounds down. So then I get a 10. Now you can use your rounding and add 30 plus 40 plus 10 and see what you get. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. So about 80 fish. All right, last problem. So it says, at the picnic, 39 children chose apples and 12 chose oranges. Round each number to the nearest 10. About how many more children chose apples than oranges? So we are going to subtract to figure this one out. So let's get our subtraction equation ready. 39 minus 12. Now you might be thinking it might just be easier to subtract, Mrs. Peterson, but that is not our task today. So 39, we know 39 is super duper close to 40. So we know a 9 rounds up to 40. And my 12 is right here. I can go up to 20 or I can go down to 10. So a 2 rounds down, so that gives me a 10. And I can do 40 take away 10, which gives us 30. 30, and here's my label, more children. Now, out of curiosity, let's see how close this one actually was. 9 minus 2 equals 7, and 3 minus 1 equals 2. So the actual answer is 27. And when we round, we get 30. So those are pretty close. All right, friends, keep practicing that rounding, and I will see you later. Great job.